Hey, family and friends, welcome back to this week's episode of the ALpha Primal Podcast. You can listen in on Podbean and SoundCloud, as well as view us on Facebook on our Facebook page, where we share meal prep ideas as well as our exercise programs. You can also view us on YouTube at ALpha Primal. For questions or interested in hearing about any topics, message us on Facebook, or you can email us at alphaprimal18@gmail.com. Enjoy this week's episode. All right, and welcome back to the ALpha Primal Podcast. A little different look for those who are watching us on the video version of this. A little different look. As parents, we have to be pretty adaptive to our new daughter's needs.
And her need for movement. She likes movement just as much as her father.
Well, yes, she does. She likes movement.
So sorry for the bouncing. If this is going to make you sick if you're watching.
Yes, but she doesn't like movement with everybody.
Well, she likes movement with mom the most.
She loves the movement with mom. Yes. No. So yes, welcome back. Like I said, for those who are listening to or watching the video, different look. We're standing, we're sort of bouncing around a little bit. But so this week, what I wanted to do, so we wanted to go over a little bit of a recap. Since this is a video blog as well as a podcast, go over vlog a little bit about last week, some of the exercises and meals that we had last week as far as nutrition goes, as well as then get into the topic of intermittent fasting. So that's how was your week? How was exercise? You got how many in this week?
Including today, I got 3 workouts in. So I did Monday, which was
Crushed it this morning.
Monday. I had pull-ups and push-ups. So that was the first time I've done pull-ups in probably 4 or 5, maybe more months.
Yeah.
So
did great though.
I was extremely sore after Monday. Like Tuesday and Wednesday, it was a struggle to pick Arden up out of her pack and play. And yeah, it was just a little bit more difficult to move those days. My arms, my back, and also my core.
Yeah.
So even getting out of bed, like, was hard.
That whole grunting and trying to roll out of
I had
bed.
to go back to like the pregnancy roll where you like roll on your side and then push up in order to get
And
out
that's
of
a little
bed.
bit more difficult for you because you get up more throughout the night and go to the bathroom. You have a baby bladder.
And I have the baby.
And you have the baby.
So yeah, 2 things.
So it wasn't like knockout for the night and
Yep.
no.
So I had to take 2 days off because the
No,
next
you didn't
workout.
completely take those off. You were still doing some stretch. Like I
did
want people
stretching.
to understand that there's a difference between when we say we're taking a day off and then when I hear some people say they take a day off and it's like, Netflix and chill by myself with no one else, just sitting on the
For
couch
hours.
for hours.
No, I still went on walks,
Mhm.
still was stretching and moving and stuff. So, but I didn't do a planned workout. So I got in my next one on Thursday, and then again this morning. So hopefully, I'm still on week 2. I have 2 more workouts, so I'm not really like falling in the exact week patterns,
Mhm.
but I'm just checking off one exercise at a time and working through the workout plan that you made for me.
And at your own pace.
Right.
And that's the most important thing. Like it's at your own pace. It's on the days that are a little bit more convenient for you, or you have a little bit more time.
Right.
You're not feeling as sore.
Exactly.
You're doing great with it.
What about you? What about your workouts?
Yeah, so this week I got in a workout pretty much every day this week. Focused a little. I had about 3 days that were focused on strength and strictly strength training. A pretty good cardio day, pretty good run. It was taking advantage of these last couple of days outside.
Did you run into anything on your run?
No, so yes, thank you. I was out for my run, feeling great, finished up my run, and we have a hill, 200 meters north of us. And so I'm like feeling good, walking there with confidence, got my headphones in, got my music going. It's making me, I'm getting excited. And then as soon as I get to the bottom of the hill, a skunk crosses the street and then goes into the ditch right at the bottom of the hill. And I'm like, it's nighttime. It's the skunk's time. Not trying to disturb. If it was daytime, it'd be a different story. I'm like, hills can wait. Hills can wait tonight. I don't need them that bad. So turned around, came home, did do some stretching, did some animal upper body flow type stuff. So just.
You didn't want to have to sleep outside after being
skunked. Yeah, I wanted to be around my family for the next couple of days.
We appreciate it.
So yeah, I did get a good run in. Friday mornings have become pretty fun for me. After my first couple clients, I get a pretty good workout in then. So just fitting in my workouts where I can, where it's convenient, and making sure just to keep it going, keep it active. So that's what I did this week.
Sounds good.
Meals were good.
Like a good week.
Yeah, meals were good. Meals were planned.
We're making tonight some ribs with sweet potato fries.
Just got some great advice from my mom about how to make them.
And a veggie. I'm not sure which one, but
yeah, we'd have to figure that out.
We'll have to pick one.
Yeah.
And then this week for our meal prep, we're doing an egg bake in the morning with spaghetti squash. Mm-hmm. Our lunch is quinoa mixed with some veggies. I think carrots and broccoli, and then ground beef. Mm-hmm. And our dinner.
Don't know what kind of flavoring we're going to put in there yet.
No.
We're going to play with it.
Yeah. Dinner, we're going to do turkey burgers and sweet potatoes and Brussels sprouts. Is that what you got at the grocery store?
Definitely. I know that was on sale. Definitely didn't get Brussels sprouts.
What'd you get?
Zucchini and yellow squash.
Okay.
So we'll do some sort of like zucchini and yellow squash fries or something like that on the grill.
Sounds good.
We'll see.
And we still have some soup left over.
Got some soup. Love them soups.
Patrick's favorite. So he gets to finish it.
Well, this weekend's going to be cold. And
next week.
Yeah, and next week. That soup might not last until next week. I'm just saying.
Well, we'll see.
But I love some soups during the cold season. So.
All right. Well, let's.
So today's topic. I'm gonna shove it over here to Ashley because she's our nutritional expert. Come on, you got this. You're the one that I go to. So intermittent fasting. Let's dive into that sort of topic area.
So the basics of intermittent fasting is basically that you're the basics and the basically
basics.
The basically basics are that you are shortening your period of your eating window. Mm-hmm. So you're not going to be eating all day long. Somehow you're shortening it, whether you're
actually not, there's a time period where you're not eating. You're not consuming any calories.
Yes. So this doesn't mean that during that period that you eat, that you can eat whatever you want, and it's a free for all.
Mm-hmm. In that breaking of the fast period.
Right.
Right.
So
which I know a lot of people, when I talk to them, that's the first thing that they say. Oh, yeah, I just eat whatever I want when I'm not fasting. But 16 hours of fasting, I'm like, no, it doesn't work that way.
Right. No. So basically what you're doing is you're shortening your window of eating. So say you start eating at noon, then you eat, or you only eat until, say 7 o'clock. And then from 7 until noon the next day, you're not eating.
Right.
So during the time that you are eating, though, you want to make sure that you get enough calories in, but you're not overeating. So it's kind of tricky. You still want to eat enough to fuel your body, but you don't want to, say, binge eat because you're starving.
So would you say, say someone who is eating, 3 meals a day, 4 meals a day, are you trying to eat those same 4 meals in the day, but space them out a little differently because you only have an 8-hour window? or what, as far as when you are able to consume, am I looking, what kind of foods am I looking to consume?
Well, first, you're not going to take 4 meals and then just try to shove them into
an 8-hour period.
Yeah, an 6 to 8 hour period.
Right. So I should
So you might
take
want
away
to,
that mindset in general.
Yeah. So you're going to change up your meals and what they look like. First and foremost, before you start intermittent fasting, you should be eating primally aligned foods. So that means what we've kind of been preaching.
Discussing the wholer foods, the more natural.
Yeah. So before you try intermittent fasting, first switch your diet to eating natural fruits, vegetables, good protein sources, good sources of carbs like starchy vegetables, fruits, things like that. So first you have to change the way you're eating to be primal aligned. Then after that, then you can start doing intermittent fasting. So I would say starting off, try to keep your window period of eating 12 hours. So whether that's 8 to 8, 7 to 7, 12 to 12.
A 12-hour where you're fasting.
Yes.
That's a lot different than most people that I've talked to, because more times than not I'm hearing about a 16-hour window of fasting.
Well, I'm just saying this is to start off. If you haven't ever done it, start at 12 hours.
And that's what I want people to understand and to clarify.
I think even if you're not intermittent fasting, 12 hours is a pretty good window to just be at anyways.
And especially that 8 to 8, 8 to 8 time. I mean, a lot of times there's no reason for us to be eating unless you have a later shift. Now, I know there are times where I work until 9 o'clock at night. So I come home and I'll eat. But if I don't work till 9 o'clock.
You're not waking up and eating at 8 a.m.
True.
So
very true.
You're not. Your window is still shorter. So that 8 to 8 should be pretty easy to do. Then once you get into that period, then I would start going 13-hour fast. So keep working up until you get to a 16-hour fasting period.
Just like anything, slow progressions. So, just like we preach.
Yes, one step at a time.
One little small step at a time.
Once you get to 16 hours, then technically that would be a good fasting period for you. Okay.
And then stick to 16 hours.
You can stick to 16 hours or listen to your body and see.
Now, is this more for somebody who wants to do it on a pretty regular basis? Because, I mean, and I know there have been a couple people that we have followed before on any sort of social media site or fitness professionals, and they have gone, and I've experimented with this myself, where I've gone 24-hour fasts, 36-hour fasts.
Well, that's the good thing about it, is that it doesn't have to look the same every day.
Mm-hmm.
So you can do the 16-hour fast, but then the next day, if you say you usually start eating at 12, if the next day at 12 you're not hungry, then listen to your body.
Right.
And say the next day you have a breakfast meeting, then change your fasting period to start earlier. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of flexibility with it.
Right.
Or do it during the week. If it's easier for you to not eat in the morning because you're at work and you're busy and your mind's, distracted, so you're fine without eating in the morning, but then on the weekends you wake up and you're hungry, then you can change your intermittent fasting that way. And you don't even have to intermittent fast on the weekend if you wanted. So you can change it up.
Go hog wild. No, I actually do more. I think I do more fasting on the weekends than I do during the week, for sure.
Yeah.
For me. But that's also because we're a little bit more structured during the week.
And you have to just go by what feels right for you. Mm-hmm. So it's not, intermittent fasting isn't like a structured thing where it has to look the same every day. Mm-hmm. It's what your body needs. So say the next day you wake up, you usually don't eat till noon, but you're starving. Well, then
go ahead and eat.
Right.
That's your body telling you to eat.
Yeah.
No, you can get through, and I want people to understand there's hunger pangs are not the end of the world. You can get through that.
And a lot of times, if you just wake up, you feel hungry, you have a full glass or two of water,
it goes away.
Yeah.
Right.
You might just be dehydrated.
Yeah. Dehydration is a huge one. Huge one. I'm pretty, so I'm not familiar as far as, I shouldn't say that. I'm familiar with intermittent fasting. I've never viewed it as intermittent fasting. I've always viewed it as fasting. Like, and so, any sort of advice I give from this point is all just personal experience of how
we are not medical professionals,
right,
so
right. So don't take my, like, oh, Pat said he said this, and that's what that's what it has to be. So I want you. This is all just personal experience from what I have done as far as intermittent fasting goes. I started off doing this at a lot younger age. Throughout my high school, or even junior high and high school years, I was a wrestler. So there were times where I was definitely fasting and going through longer periods of fasting. So, the reason I'm saying this is because I've gotten to a point where my body is very much more fat adaptive. So I can go through a 24, 36-hour period of fasting, and it's going to be different because my body is going to start utilizing the fat and turning that into the sugar that needed for energy. So just like Ashley was saying, just starting off and trying to go to a 16-hour fast is probably not the smartest thing to do. The way you should think about it is, instead of like I'm going to be doing intermittent fasting, I'm going to be doing 12 hours of not eating. After dinner, I'm going to stop eating, and then I'm going to eat again at breakfast. So that's that 8 to 8 period that we're talking about. Have dinner at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, you're done eating, and then wait till the breakfast time, 8 o'clock in the morning, and eat again. That's your 12-hour window, but that begins the process of your body becoming fat adaptive and learning to turn to fat instead of the sugars, instead of the carbs for energy, and pull it from storage rather than the immediates.
That's one of the benefits is that your body is using stored fat for energy.
Eventually down the line, yes. Right.
Once you have changed your diet to be primarily aligned, right, and then started slowly incorporating intermittent fasting, your body is using the stored fat that you have as energy. So that's why it can also trigger weight loss or other benefits.
And that's where I don't want to call it targeted fat loss, but that's where people are like, oh, this is how I hear you can lose a lot of body fat, not body weight, body fat percentage. And yes, to a certain degree, you can get to that point. You don't have it right off the bat if all you've been doing is carbo load, like high sugars, carbs, like fatty foods that are, your body isn't going to automatically be fat adaptive. You have to get it to the point and adapt it to the point of being fat adaptive.
And once you break your fast, so the first meal, if you're eating bagels, cereal, if you're at breakfast or something, is very high in grains and processed food, you're not going to feel the best. Right. So you need to break the fast with a good, well-rounded meal that has vegetables, a good protein source. Yeah. You're really fueling your body, some healthy fats. Mm-hmm. You're really going to fuel your body. So another thing I wanted to mention is that you don't want to break your fast by having coffee with creamer or something like that. In order to not break your fast in the morning.
This is to stay compliant with the intermittent fasting, so to speak.
Right. Okay. So you wake up in the morning, you don't plan to eat until 12. Mm-hmm. So you can have water, you can have black coffee, you can have green tea, but anything else that sparks your insulin is going to break the fast.
So that's going to be counterproductive of what you're trying to do.
Even chewing gum, even mints. They will.
That's a big one that people have to understand. That's going to trigger your insulin. Yeah, and you gotta. That's the whole point of. You're losing the point of fasting.
Right. So if you are going to have coffee with something in it, then wait till you are going to break your fast at noon to have your coffee.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise,
if you have to have that coffee with sugar or
with
cream or something
like a
like
bulletproof
Right.
coffee, something
Right.
like that.
Right.
So that's one thing to mention.
And that's a very good point. And I think you know, you touched upon it, and definitely what I wanted to get across, and I think I've talked about this before, is the importance of, because a lot of times I get people who won't do the intermittent fasting because they're like, oh well, my doctor says breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and I'm not disputing that. I'm not disputing that at all. Breaking your fast is the most important meal of the day. So whether you're breaking your fast at 7 a.m., 8 a.m., noon, when you break your fast, that's probably, you're right, the most important meal of the day. So if you're taking in shitty foods, you're gonna feel like shit. So I'm agreeing with everybody when I say breaking your fast is the most important meal of the day, but you're not going to say the traditional term of breakfast, that, that 8 a.m. breakfast time with Cheerios. That's not breakfast. That's not breaking your fast. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you need to break your fast with good food.
Right. Yeah.
Something that's going to fuel your body for the day.
I agree. So what are, we went through some of the tips. What are some of the things to watch out for, some people that you would maybe not recommend?
So definitely not if you're like pregnant or breastfeeding. You need
Calories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you need to listen to your body. You're providing for another human, so not you.
Right.
Not if you're pregnant or breastfeeding.
Yeah,
or even if you're trying to get pregnant.
Danielle, you're breastfeeding, no intermittent fasting. Well, I can't call out my sister-in-law. Congratulations. Congratulations.
It's not.
I can't wait to meet Roman.
It's not for kids. Your kids are growing. They don't need to be intermittent fasting. And also, if you have disordered eating, it might help. It might not help. It might trigger some other, kind of mental.
Some of those bad thoughts that you had about it before.
Yeah. And it might get you into more disordered eating. So if you have a history of disordered eating, I would definitely recommend to be cautious or don't even try.
I mean, honestly, with a lot of disordered eatings, I would very much recommend people with disordered. I would try to steer away from any sort of regimen as far as that goes. Like counting calories, fat or macronutrients, micronutrients, whatever it is. Like anybody who has a true eating disorder, I would be pretty hesitant about giving that kind of.
If you have something like that, then you need to seek professional help to get you through that.
Right.
But then besides those few people that I had mentioned, it's just really important to listen to your body. So if you start having crappy sleep, if you're a woman and your cycle is messed up, or you lose your period or something like that, then this probably isn't the best for you or at this time.
Yeah. Now, when we first talked about this, that had happened to you.
Yeah, my cycle was messed up. So I said, okay, this isn't working for me, especially since we were trying to get pregnant. So, you really have to say, is this going to be right for me? Try it out and listen to your body. If your body doesn't respond well, then this isn't for you. So there you go. Pay attention.
I'm a big proponent of it. It obviously
at this time
was very detrimental to what she was trying to do and what and for her. So I mean, there you go. There you go. Intermittent fasting is not for everybody.
Exactly. Some of the other things that we did want to talk about was to make sure that you don't, which we kind of already mentioned, that you don't overeat during your period of eating. So you're getting 8 hours to eat. It doesn't mean
8 hours to eat anything and everything. And that's what I've heard. I've seen that happen too. And I'm not just talking.
Even if you do 2 hours and you shove in a whole pizza and cake or whatever, doesn't mean overeat. It doesn't mean you can eat anything.
Right.
Still have to eat primally aligned
and
fuel your body. So have a very filling satisfying first meal, and then go from there. See what your body needs after that. Is what I would kind of recommend, how to break your fast with that.
Okay.
What do you think about exercise and intermittent fasting? Do you have to eat before you exercise, like a lot of people think?
No. So I'm going again. This is purely based off me, and I guess it's sort of the mentality, that mindset that I sort of got into, just as I've gone through my journey and gone through some of the processes of how intermittent affects me and affects my body. I actually prefer to work out after at the end of while I'm on the fasting. So I usually like to go for a fast. Right now I'm probably on a 12-hour fast right now? No, probably longer than that. 12 hours, coming around to 12 hours, maybe even 14 hours right now. But I like to get to the end of a fast, work out, and then break my fast. I don't know why. So a lot of the science that I've read about, your body actually doesn't it's not pulling from any contents in your stomach. So any energy that you consume within that an hour, 45 minutes, your body's not actually utilizing that within the hour workout that you're about to do. So all the calories that you are going to use during the workouts are already stored calories.
So it's kind of like a switch in your mindset. If you do typically think, okay, I have to drink this protein shake, or I have to eat this protein bar or something before I work out, you don't really have to. It's a mindset thing. Right. You think you have to.
Right. Now, and I want people to understand, I use fasting for the purposes of healing. That's what I use fasting for.
Well, that's what it does.
Right. So I don't do intermittent fasting every single day. I fast when I'm trying to heal. Like last night we had, I'm gonna throw some truth out there. Last night we had some frozen home run in pizza. I even looked at as I was about to eat it, I saw the cheese sort of melted, and I'm just like, oh my, that looks so fake. It just looks so fake. I'm about to put this into my body. I'm paying for it this morning. And not to say that, like I said, we're human. There are going to be nights and times where we eat.
We don't eat perfectly. Right. We live by the 80-20 rule.
Right.
80% of the time, we're eating our best.
Right.
20%, we might not.
100% of the time, we're doing the 80-20%. No, but anyway. So I mean, yes, I was feeling guilty as I was eating it, but I was also like, again, we don't do this all the time. I can afford this. This morning,
I regret it.
It
wasn't worth it.
It wasn't worth it, and and actually, we've had this conversation before this podcast. Pizza may be on the no-go list for me.
That makes me think of one of the things Melissa Irvin says, the Whole30 creator. She says, before you eat something that isn't, aligned with Whole30 or what works for your body, say, is it worth it? And if it's not, then don't eat it. So you didn't ask yourself that. I
didn't ask myself that, but I also, I don't think I'd gotten to this point in my mind where, I took the car in this morning. I was at the car dealership. Before that, I was in pain. It just clicked in my mind. It's like, I don't want it. Just like anybody, I've had friends who sit there and tell me, I've stopped drinking because even having one or two drinks, I felt shitty the next morning, hungover, dehydrated. So I've stopped drinking altogether. And I'm like, for as little as we eat pizza,
it's not worth it.
It's not worth it. I don't care. Everybody's gonna be like, oh, you pizza. Pizza's great. Pizza's amazing. How could you not like pizza? I'm like, I like it. I love it.
My body doesn't like it.
But I just don't love it to the point where I am in significant pain this morning. I just don't like it. I am waiting for this work. And one of the things that I like about intermittent fasting, when I do feel this way, I will use intermittent fasting and sort of just and these are the times where I really truly love a workout at the end of a fast or right before I break my fast, because it's that last little just like drain the swamp, get everything out, and then let's refuel with something better. Let's refuel with something nutritious and just basically restart whatever the hell I did wrong here. And that's truly what I like about exercise and fasting and what I use it for.
Well, and fasting in general can help lower, insulin, which helps repair your cells and helps with cell division, which is good for anti-aging.
All of my
longevity.
family.
It's good for fighting disease. So, fasting does help your hormones work more efficiently for you.
Yeah. For all my, well, I like the aging one because it does help you. It does help fight the aging process.
Yeah.
But for all of my family who listens to this, I need you to listen really closely because we are riddled with diabetes in my family. It helps with your insulin levels. You need to understand intermittent or fasting in general. Like my family, we need to stay on top of this as much as we can because even amongst my, the people closest to me, uncles and aunts, we have diabetes in the family. So take care of yourselves, people.
Yeah.
Take care of yourselves, silly family.
So a short recap.
Reach out to me.
Intermittent fasting can be spontaneous or it can be planned. You don't have to, you don't have to do it every day.
Yeah. Mine's very much spontaneous.
Try it out. See what works for you. Start with the 12-hour window and keep decreasing. If you need help with maybe snacking or some late night bad habits, things like that, find different activities to do during that time.
Get your mind off it. That helps. That always does help.
Yeah.
And that's why that last little extra hour that I'm trying to get, I'll throw a workout in there because it just completely, takes your mind off it. Have some fun with it. Distract yourself.
But first, make sure you're eating primally.
Primally.
First thing you have to change your diet.
ALpha Primally.
Eat ALpha Primal. That's our new slogan.
That's going to be our new slogan.
Really quickly, we did say that we would have a giveaway.
We do.
For episode number 10.
We do.
So, if you are watching this, you can
message us down here.
You can win this cookbook.
I should have held her. She's got a baby over here.
Cook once, eat all week. We have shared a bunch of recipes from here that we've done before. It's a really great cookbook. Basically shows you how to make 3 different meals. You prep everything.
The same ingredients, so you don't have to choose like a bunch of different ingredients.
So you get all the ingredients, you prep them on Sunday, and then 3 different times throughout the week, you make these 3 different meals. And all the ones that we've done so far, we've really loved.
Yeah. There's some really good recipes in there.
So in order to be entered to win the cookbook, you have to either comment on our video or somewhere on Facebook where Patrick has posted the podcast for the week. Just say that you listened.
Listen and you want the cookbook.
Just put some
say you're listening and you're ready to prep.
You could say something along those lines. Just put a comment under the video or the podcast.
Arden wants a little thing. Okay, good, baby. Good.
All right.
Next week. Yes, I will go into next week real quick. So I know, Arden. I know. Next week we will be going over what I call the sort of 1% rule. A rule that I've implemented in my training, but a mindset that I like to go through and go by for myself, and a mindset that I've tried to have some of my clients take on as well. So that's next week. Next week is the 1% rule. check us out. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Podbean, SoundCloud. Oh, I'm trying to get on Spotify, so stay tuned with that. I'll figure that one out. But other than that, have a great week. See you guys.
Bye.